When you think of the house, who are you picturing? Like for me in particular, I know I brought this up before, I'm always thinking of Terry Benedict from Ocean's 11, 12, 13 with his slick back hair. It's one of those situations where you feel like you could never win when you're taking on the house. It's like some enterprise that's overlooking all of your moves. That's why we got no house advantage. They know what it's like going against Terry, and they want to eradicate that feeling from your insides. That actually sounds very gross, weird, and disgusting. But on no house advantage, they've made things very simple. They combined fantasy and player props in an easy-to-use platform. They offer two types of contests. There's the Pick'em contest, which we submitted a lineup for yesterday, where you make an assortment of player prop selections, and the more that you get right, you go up in the standings. You can check out that video. We posted that one yesterday. But today, I'm going to be taking on the house. And when you take on the house at no house advantage, it's a lot of use of the word house. House MD. Remember that show? But when you take on the house, if you get 5 picks correct from these player props, you're going to net up to 20 times your money. And if you go down to the description of this video and you click the link, you actually will get up to 100% of your first match deposit on no house advantage, up to $50. So you put in 50, get 50, and then you multiply that by 20 when you make your correct selections, which we're going to do right now. But as I always tell you guys, if you do not like where I go with some of these picks, you can always go to Stokastic, where they offer free projections for Thursday Night Football and for the Pick'em contest. So you should always check those out and see how they weigh up against yours. If you're ever undecided on a specific one, or maybe you like 4 and you need that 5th, feel free to go over to Stokastic, where they offer free projections for no house advantage contests. But for me, I'm going to start with Lamar Jackson and his passing total. I usually like to start at quarterbacks. Brady's is too high, but I'm going to start with Lamar. You know, they got it in the low 200s, and when you first glance, it's like, oh, well, you got to take that, right? I mean, that's a pretty low total, good run defense. But really, what, has he cleared that number once this season? He's barely cleared it recently, and until I see Lamar get on track with his passing, ever since that Sunday night game against Cincinnati, he's been missing a couple throws, and those throws are going to be necessary to hit his over. Because I already told you in yesterday's video, I project him hitting an over on his rushing yards in this game. So I actually am going to take the under on Lamar Jackson passing yards. But with that said, they put a low total on Rashod Bateman. If you look at Bateman's receiving totals earlier this season, I don't want to count last game, first game back from an injury, but pretty much every other week before that, Rashod Bateman, who's really their only true receiver, Duvernay, slightly more of a gadget guy, really, if you ask me. Obviously, there's Andrews, but as far as true wide receivers, the guy who replaced Marquise Brown's role in this offense is Rashod Bateman. This is his second game back from an injury, and if you look at his total, he would have cleared that mostly every other week that he played before the injury, so I'm inclined to take the over on the Rashod Bateman receiving total, despite me taking the under on the Lamar Jackson passing total. Then on the Buccaneers side of the ball, they have Brady's total a little too high for me. But one thing that I love, I mentioned this yesterday, I said I wish they had Leonard Fournette's receiving yards, because after a couple of bad games, I truly believe that when Brady wants to get back on track, he actually uses a lot of safe completions early in the game, and quite often that means check downs to Leonard Fournette. And we've already seen Fournette have double-digit catches like he's Christian McCaffrey in some of these games. And I would foresee in the first half a bunch of short completions to Leonard Fournette, which would allow us to hit this receiving total relatively easily. So I will take Fournette over for receiving yards. Then looking down at Mike Evans, they have his total around 70. After that long touchdown drop, I'm inclined to believe that him and Brady are going to make sure that they get on the right page. I do like this particular situation for Mike Evans. You know Brady's going to go to him, and then when you think about those extra receivers that maybe would have gobbled up just a few targets, you're not going to have potentially Gage, Julio, and then also Cameron Brate. So really you're looking at Godwin and Mike Evans gobbling up all the targets, and you know you're going to get a couple deep shots to Evans every game. So I'm going to take the over on Mike Evans' receiving yards. And lastly, I'm going to go with Gus Edwards. I'm going to take the under on his rushing total. I know last week he had a good week, but he was just activated from PUP. We know the Ravens, they like to use that timeshare. They'll be rotating backs in and out. And then also the Bucs, despite what you saw last week, have had one of the top run defenses in the NFL the last couple of seasons. A guy just coming back from an injury in his second game back against the Bucs run defense who's going to be motivated on the road. I like the under on Gus Edwards rushing yards. And those are the 5 picks that I got for you. We got the under on Lamar Jackson passing yards, the over on Rashod Bateman receiving yards, the over on Leonard Fournette receiving yards, the over on Mike Evans receiving yards, and the under on Gus Edwards rushing yards. I hope you enjoy 20 times your money. Well, hopefully you do. Hopefully I do. Hopefully we all do. I will be back with you guys before Sunday to talk pick'em selections once again. But to make sure you don't miss out on that video, do us all a favor, subscribe to the channel here, toss this video a like, enjoy that money, and I will see you next time. Take it easy.